Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente es el mejor cerveza. No abate por No Filter Network. Miguelito San Dieguito, a.k.a. Bobby Ball, not with us this morning, but job or no job, dead or alive, we properly salute him. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you, the 21st of August, currently at 9:40 a.m. Had a little bit of issue getting on this morning. Hopefully it is working for you guys. I was just getting a stagnant screen, but then I went and checked out the replay of it to see what it looked like potentially from your guys' end. And it would come on. It actually has this cool new no filter graphic, like before I come on. I don't know if that was screwing things up with the computer or not, but whatever. We're rocking and rolling. I'll make sure we're live here before we get into the nuts and bolts right now. Let me text Joe, Leslie, and Henry. Do you see me? Do you see me? For a spare rod of straw is something I'm not fucking around when I say that I really mean. I take it to heart. And it's through hardship of the stars. And in this case, the ultimate goal of this is to create the best platform possible. We've had a lot of new changes that have happened. We have a whole banner ad now at the front. Let's see here. Tell me you see. Yes, Les. Picture looks good too. I'm imagining this iPad camera is next level. By the way, if you notice the banner up top, we're selling whiskey. We're selling tequila. Ocho Uno Ocho. In case you're wondering, this tequila reposado 100% agave azul, handcrafted small batch in Jalisco, Mexico. Producción 03712. And the other thing I want to share with you guys, a product placement here. This is Verge. So for everybody who actually has got ADHD, which is, I don't know, what do you think, half the human population, this shit is fantastic. This is a like honey lemon ginger shot that I now take each morning. And I'll take one in the afternoon as well if I'm feeling it. They have these little pills. It's got a combination of that and cannabis. And it's supposed to help with concentration. So to my guy Jory over at Verge, where's the camera on here? We salute you. Go to tryverge.com. I believe it's at tryverge. I know on Instagram. And if you guys remember the article that I actually shared last week, it was an article all about ginger shots and how they can do just incredible things for your health. So I am back in Tahoe now. After a weekend in San Diego, we drove up with the storm, like literally almost in unison as we made our way up the I-5. Now, the other thing is, look, I don't want to make light of this bitch. It looks like LA got fucked. The eye of the storm went right over Dodger Stadium. It's crazy. But the one thing, and I remember this from the hurricanes that I went through back on the East Coast in New York, one of those being Sandy. They're not this hard-hitting, last for days sort of storm. They come in and they come out, but it's a movement in the atmospheric pressure and the storm surges and everything that end up being very destructive. And then the large amounts of rain in very short periods of time, which then will fill up all the drainage and back it up, whatever. And it creates flooding. So I don't mean to make light of Hilary, but I think most Californians who aren't used to hurricanes are like, dude, this is fucking it? Like, whatever. I mean, especially in Tahoe, where we got 60 plus feet of snow last winter, and this is a little rain, but the thing you got to be careful of are things like the Truckee River overflowing these low-lying areas. So the destruction can be pretty devastating, even though the storm does not really seem like it. So got a good show planned for you guys today. I was on the drive, last night when you give me some time to sit down and actually put things together. It's pretty cool. Biggest news we missed this weekend. This is you catch up quickly on the weekend's biggest stories. Tropical storm Hilary makes landfall. Spain wins the Women's World Cup, and Rudy Giuliani associates wonder what happened to him. What do you mean what happened to him? Well, let's start with this. The tropical storm Hilary makes landfall. Hilary made landfall in Mexico, Baja California Peninsula Sunday with catastrophic and life-threatening flooding. Expected in the southwest, a storm downgraded from a hurricane earlier that day has reached California, where officials have been preparing for the first tropical storm to hit the area in 84 years, which it did last night. During a Sunday morning news conference, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass said, "Our message today is clear. Stay safe, stay home, stay informed." Not everybody stayed home, I'll tell you that. The freeways were fucking packed, man. And in the midst of all this, you get the alerts on the phone. I got an alert that said, duck and cover, earthquake just happened. And so you're getting all these alerts on your phone, right, about the hurricane. And then in the middle of it, a fucking earthquake hits. It was a wild day yesterday. The Maui fires, as Hawaiians work through catastrophe from the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. Authorities fear the death toll will only rise in the days and weeks to come. The wildfires in Maui led to entire families going missing and feared dead, while officials have sped up the efforts to identify the remains. Many people are still unaccounted for, including some of Lahaina's most vulnerable residents. Finding missing or dead homeless residents is especially tricky because many do not have cell phones or a dedicated group of people checking in on them. Rex Cole, an unhoused man known to many in Lahaina's historic district, has not been seen or heard from since the wildfires. He was loved by many. It's just absolutely devastating to think of what happened there. Heartbreaking. You just like to think as we deal with more and more of these natural disasters that we take as many precautionary measures as possible. So even if it's a hurricane or whatever else, the one thing that I fear with the hurricane that was in California was down electrical lines if the wind sustained. Now, by the time the winds got to California, they were like 45, 50 miles per hour. So it really wasn't that bad. But obviously anyone who's lived through these wildfires, those are scary as shit. And that's what obviously got Maui. So stay diligent on that. And I think the only thing we do is learn from it and do everything we can going forward. I think just as a society to try to prepare for this, because the weather, it's not changing. I was reading a UCLA meteorologist, scientist last night talking about the weather patterns. And he's just like, look, this is a norm. Like you think this is fucking rare. Like this is going to keep happening. So Washington fires. With a wildfire bearing down, officials gave orders for evacuation for an entire town of Medical Lake, Washington. Medical Lake is home to 5,000 people. It's about 12 miles southwest of Spokane. Pushed by 35-mile-per-hour winds, the grape fires grew from an estimated 500 acres to nearly 9,500 by Saturday morning, according to tweets from the Washington State Department of Natural Resources. We know that some of the homes have burned. We don't know how many. Spain wins the World Cup. Good on Spain. They won the Women's World Cup in a hard-fought 1-0 victory over England. Captain Olga Camarona's goal in the 29th minute sealed the Spanish team's first ever World Cup win. Meet the press here. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who's running for Republican presidential nomination, dodged repeatedly when asked for his position on former President Donald Trump's 4 indictments during an interview on Meet the Press. I mean, probably as he should. Politics in brief. Giuliani escapades. From America's mayor to election charges in Georgia, many of Rudy Giuliani's former colleagues are shocked and saddened at his fall from grace. I just remember Rudy Giuliani for what he did after 9/11. I felt like he was the next president in waiting with the way he handled all of that. And I know he had a big influence in cleaning up New York City and making it what it is today. So it's interesting how quick we are to hop on and off bandwagons from a political standpoint. Biden's playbook, the president's reelection campaign, plans to highlight what it's calling an extreme MAGA blueprint, really, by GOP candidates during the first Republican presidential debate, according to a memo first shared with NBC News. The question becomes, I mean, does this guy fit mentally to be the president of the United States? That is something interesting. Leslie just sent an article. Spain's hero learns of dad's death after WWC final. Oh, this is a tough one. Spain's winning scorer, Carmona, learns of her dad's death after WWC final. See, this is how we roll here, by the way, on the Daily Hustle. Up-to-date breaking news and information. Taking the latest news stories. The Royal Spanish Football Federation has announced the death of Olga Camarona's father just hours after she scored the winning goal in the Women's World Cup final. Real Madrid's left back, Carmona, 23, scored the only goal of the game as Spain beat England 1-0 in Sydney on Sunday to win the first ever major trophy in the women's game. Carmona learned of her father's death after the final. An RFEF spokesperson told Reuters he had been fighting an illness for a long time and died Friday. We deeply regret that we must announce the death of Olga Carmona's father. Wow. You want to talk about fate and God, and I mean, this is one of those, if you don't believe in God, you better start, because I mean, here she is scoring the winning goal, and then just hours after her father passes away. Les, fantastic story. Appreciate you sharing. Got some other, in case you missed it. California business owner and mother of 9 was fatally shot Friday after someone allegedly took issue with a pride flag she had displayed in her clothing store. What the fuck? What's wrong with people? The Ohio teenager, who will be sentenced Monday after she was convicted of intentionally crashing her car at 100 miles per hour, had an increasingly toxic relationship with her boyfriend who died in the wreck. New Orleans Saints tight end Jimmy Graham was taken into custody in Southern California after acting erratically. Doctors think he suffered a seizure. Maryland officials identified a case of rare, locally acquired malaria for the first time in 40 years. A fracking mishap containment the water supply in small Pennsylvania town, turning their residents against a major natural gas producer. More than a year later, residents still rely on bottled water. Teachers, unions, and educators are sounding the alarm about sweltering conditions in classrooms as the school year kicks off following a summer of record-setting heat. Don't fucking start school so early. What's wrong with you people? I don't get it. The winters are getting longer. So it stays cooler later, at least what I've experienced here in the greater Lake Tahoe area. Why are we sending kids back to fucking school in August? It doesn't make sense. If anything, send them back after Labor Day. But it extends the summer for everybody. I'm baffled in this whole thing. My kids will be starting school. Well, Chloe starts next week. So she does start before Labor Day. And she started freshman year of high school. The other two who are still doing the homeschool, we get to kind of decide when. We're going to start probably the third week in September. Makes a lot of sense to me. So, anyhow, we got a really good story. I would say good story. A sad story, but one that I think it needs to be told, that I want to discuss here just for a minute and really give kudos to ESPN for putting this thing together. But Andrew Bellotti is a pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. And when he was a 19-year-old prospect in the Tampa Bay Rays system, Bellotti was speeding. He was not drunk, but he was speeding in his Ford Mustang. It got out of control on a wet day, went into the other lane, hit another car head on, and killed a man. Also, there was a family that just obviously ruined. It was a young son, it was a young daughter, and it was his wife. And so it was actually, he got convicted of vehicular manslaughter. And he went to court for his sentencing. And before the sentencing, the wife went to the judge and asked for leniency on the kid. He ended up spending, I think it was like 3 months in jail, 5-year probation, and resumed his life as normal. Now, the other family, not so much. You lose a father. They grow up, without him. The mom, difficult time getting over it. And since then, Bellotti ended up leaving baseball, was dealing with some issues, and then got back into baseball. And this whole time, he's wrote a letter to the family. One thing I found interesting is that the wife said that she never read the letter. She just wanted to forgive and forget and move on. And I could see that, because there's nothing you could say or write in that situation that's going to make things any better. And so ESPN put together a get-together between the two families after all these years. Bellotti came back healthy, saved the game, the World Series last year for the Phillies. And they had this whole thing that they did that played on SportsCenter last night. And it was, geez. I couldn't imagine if you're Bellotti. Because here you are, what are we, 10 years? A little bit more, 12 years later from when the accident happened. And there's the family. And he's confronting them basically, for the first time. And he has a wife of his own now. He has a daughter of his own now. And so there were plenty of tears. I think it was a good lesson for all of us on forgiveness. And when you hold on to something, it's not going to do anybody any good. So it was really cool to see. It was, I think, real good for the family, probably to try to get some, I don't know, closure is the right word. I'm sure they want to continue to have their father and husband the spirit, live through them and whatnot. I don't think there's ever any really closure in things. But when it comes to the actual accident and what happened, it's probably a decent way to help them move on. I think most importantly, and this is what the wife was saying, her mom was saying, is that she goes, I just hope he can forgive himself. And I think something like that, I don't think you ever forgive yourself. I know, I mean, just, even smaller mistakes in my life, it's not a forgiveness. Maybe it is. I think it's more of just a recognizing and accountability. Forgive's an interesting word. I guess you forgive, don't forget, because it's the lessons that come through those hardships that we're able to learn. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, Little League World Series was going on yesterday. We've had some fun content on No Filter Network. One of the ones was a kid from the Pennsylvania team got up there yesterday. Big, beefy kid. Kind of looked like how I would envision Kyle Schwarber as a kid. Whack, base hit up the middle. Run comes around to score. Well, in the stands were the Philadelphia Phillies rooting on the team from Pennsylvania. And you had Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper going absolutely nuts for the kid. And it's so cool to watch. I went to that game a few years ago, the inaugural game. I think it was maybe 2019, right before COVID hit. And to see the big leaguers interact with the little leaguers, and so now the big leaguers are riding the bus with the little leaguers. It's so, so cool. As much as I won't say I bag on Little League, because that's not the right thing. As much as I think there's certain things within the Little League system that are broken, right? That it needs to be 50-70, first of all. And then I do think there should be a better way to attract the higher end players, because you have this Little League World Series that's taking place, but it does not include a lot of the best 12-year-olds in the country. Now, if you want to get that, you go watch Select Fest, which is something totally different. So you can make the argument there. I just think Little League's so big that it needs to find a way to continue to attract the top players. And the only way they're attracting top players now is if there's a group of top players from a certain area that all play travel ball that then will come back and play Little League for their final year, just try to make a run at Williamsport, which is what happened in several cases with teams. I know up and down California, we were talking about it yesterday about this Alpine team that did that with a lot of players that I know. Brandon Manavon was another one in his crew, Mikey Wong, and a bunch of those guys from the Bollinger Canyon team. That was the NorCal team that lost to the SoCal team. And then Louis Lappy was one of the kids on the SoCal team. He plays for the Braves Academy. So you start to see the teams that actually make it are the ones that do have a lot of these travel ball players on. And the discrepancy, it's always been this way, right? You have the puberty kids and non-puberty kids. So you're dealing with guys that are 6 feet, blah, 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 blah. And then you're dealing with kids, like literally, and kids are 5 feet and 100 pounds. So it was really cool to watch. So something I found here over the weekend, 20 stars who went from the Little League World Series to the big leagues. The Little League World Series has been a global sports phenomenon for decades, bringing some of the best youth players together for an event filled with competition and camaraderie. But as impressive as the display in Williamsport, Pennsylvania is every year, there are a lot of steps between reaching the Little League World Series and actually making a big league roster. Nonetheless, a select few have managed to make such steps, thriving in MLB years after the tournament. We broke down 20 notable Little League World Series alumni to reach MLB, sorted chronologically by the Little League World Series appearance. Ready for this? It starts all the way back in 1954. Who else? Baltimore Orioles? Any guesses? Boog Powell. Leslie, I'm sure you could have guessed that one. He played for Lakeland, Florida Little League, and he reached the quarterfinals of the Little League World Series, much different in Powell's day than it is now, as the tournament consisted of 8 teams, all from the U.S. in a single elimination format. And Pal's squad did not fare well, losing its sole Little League World Series game 16-0. Fortunately, Pal's professional career had more highlights than a 17-year career primarily with the Orioles. The first baseman outfielder made 4 All-Star appearances, won 2 World Series, and was a 1970 MVP. Rick Wise is the next one. 1958 Little League World Series from Portland, Oregon. Carney Lansford. Yes. 1969 Little League World Series from Santa Clara. They lost in the finals. Unlike the 2 aforementioned players, Lansford's team won a pair of contests before falling in a Little League World Series championship game 5-0 at Chinese Taipei. Lansford would find even more team success in MLB, where he was part of the Oakland A's core featuring Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, and Mark McGwire that reached 3 straight World Series from 88 to 90, including a win in the 1989 World Series over the Giants. Lansford was an all-star for the 1988 team and also was the AL batting title winner with Boston in 1981. How about Lloyd McClendon? 1971 Little League World Series from Gary, Indiana. They lost in the final. Is McClendon the Little League GOAT? Here's his stat line from the 1971 Little League World Series. 5 for 5, 5 home runs. Holy shit! 5 intentional walks. That's a 5,000 OPS for those counting at home. It sounds mythical, but it was reality for legendary Lloyd, who could not be stopped until a Chinese Taipei team repeatedly intentionally walked him after he hit a 3-run home run in the first inning of the championship. It worked as McClendon's team did not score again. McClendon churned out 8 MLB seasons as a utility man before also serving as a manager of the Pirates and the Mariners. I like Lloyd McClendon. Every interaction that I have with that dude. How about Gary Sheffield, 1980, from Tampa, Florida? Let's see here. It stacked 1980 Little League World Series roster featured both Sheffield and Derek Bell. What? In addition to future University of Miami, Florida linebacker Maurice Crump Sr., 1987 Yankees 56-round pick. Come on, 56-round pick. I can't believe they used to have 56 rounds. Derek Pedro, in 1988 Cubs first-round pick, Ty Griffin. Yet after winning their first 2 games by a combined 36-3, they came up just short, falling 4-3 in the final. The 4th of 5 consecutive titles from Chinese Taipei. 17 years later, Sheffield won the MLB World Series of the 1997 Marlins. Outfielder finishes his team career with a 9-time All-Star, and he is one of 28 all-time members of the 500 Home Run Club. He needs to be on the fucking Hall of Fame. And how about Derek Bell? Bell was part of the 1980 finalist team that we just talked about. Dan Wilson is another one. In 1981 Little League World Series semifinal, Wilson's Barrington Little League trailed Bell's Belmont Heights. Squad 11-4, 2 outs in the 6th before rallying to score 6 runs. But then a potential game-time run was thrown out at the plate by Sheffield's cousin, Derek Pedro. Wilson went on to have a 14-year MLB career as a catcher, primarily coming with the Mariners. He was the primary catcher on the 2001 Mariners, which tied the MLB record by winning 116 games. He was a good player. I mean, sort of a career, I don't think backup. That's not right. But damn, isn't that crazy? You stick around that long, 14-year MLB career. I would have never guessed that for Dan Wilson. How about Wilson Alvarez from Maracaibo in Venezuela? Alvarez squad is 1982. Had a tough opening game draw facing PUTZU Town Little League from Chinese Taipei, a nation that won 5 straight Little League World Series from 77 to 81. Venezuela fell 8-2 in the quarterfinal game. Though responded with both the consolation games, they earned the 5th place finish. Alvarez was signed by the Rangers at age 16 and proceeded to have a 14-season MLB career. Jason Varitek. Fuck, man, this guy just ends up everywhere, doesn't he? 1984 Little League World Series from El Monte Springs, Florida. Varitek's legacy is certainly one of winning. He's the only player to appear in a Little League World Series, College World Series, MLB World Series, and World Baseball Classic, not to mention the 1992 Olympics. What the fuck, man? The first leg of that winning tour came in the 1984 Little League World Series when his team won the U.S. Championship. Before falling to South Korea in the overall final, Byrnsie got a long-awaited World Series in 2004, helping the Red Sox and the curse of the Bambino. In addition to his second World Series title in 2007, Byrnsie ended his 15-year Boston career as a three-time All-Star. How about Kevin Cash? So this is when I would have gone. Kevin Cash is 1989. So I think I would have been like 89, 90 or 88, 89. Cash reached the Little League World Series quarterfinals with Northside Little League from Tampa, Florida, a city that would turn out to be relevant for the rest of Cash's life. His MLB playing career was less notable than others featured in the article. As a catcher, appeared in 246 games across 8 seasons with different teams, including the Rays. But Cash's accomplishments as a manager are what sets him apart as a 45-year-old. And that's crazy, too. It feels like he's been managing for a decade, probably because he has. 45-year-old already has 2 AL Manager of the Year awards with Tampa, including the 2020 season in which the Rays won the pennant. Jason Bay, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. 1990 Little League World Series from British Columbia and Canada. Bay was a stud. 2004 NL Rookie of the Year award with the Pirates. 11-year big league career. How about Jason Marquis? Great dude. 1991 Little League World Series with Staten Island. They reached the semifinal. That's impressive. Todd Frazier. I remember this. 1998 Little League World Series from Toms River, New Jersey. And they won the championship. Frazier did something that Lansford, McClendon, Sheffield, Bell, Varitek all came up short doing, bringing home the Little League World Series championship. Frazier stayed his best for last, going 4 for 4 with a home run, and also being the winning pitcher in relief as the New Jersey squad topped a Japanese team 12-9 in the championship game. Frazier went on to be a 2-time All-Star with the Reds, also winning a 2015 Home Run Derby. As he notably returned to Williamsport when he played in the MLB Little League Classic with the Mets in 2018. Lance Lynn is another one. Colby Rasmus. I didn't know Colby Rasmus because he's settled, if I'm not mistaken, in Arizona. He's from Phoenix City, Alabama. Lynn was Brownsbury, Illinois. Lynn's team was eliminated in pool play. Colby Rasmus was, they lost in the final. Their Alabama team. Randall Gritchick, holy shit, check this out. 2003 and 2004. Richmond, Texas reached the 2003 quarterfinals and 2004 semifinals. With 2 separate Little League World Series appearances, Gritchick is one of the most accomplished players in the event's history. He had 12 hits in 6 games in 2004, which at the time tied the record for hits in a Little League World Series. He saved his best for last, having 2 hits and 2 RBIs, while also throwing a complete game with 11 strikeouts and a 5-0 win over Mexico for 3rd place. In the pros, while Gritchick has an unfortunate distinction of being drafted 1 pick before Mike Trout, he has still turned out a respectable career with 186 home runs to date. Yeah, I'd say that's respectable to say the least. Jonathan Scope, 2003 and 2004 as well, from Curacao. Jurickson Profar, 2004 and 2005. When I was there in 2019, Profar's little brother was there with Curacao. And then Michael Conforto, 2004 Little League World Series with Redmond, Washington. They were eliminated in pool play. And then Cody Bellinger, 2007. Who could forget this? I was playing for the Diamondbacks, and the Chandler, Arizona Little League team went out to Williamsport. An incredible win to go out there and represent the West. But they get out there, and I've been following the journey, but Clay Bellinger called me He's like, Byrnsie, can you send the boys a message? It's like, of course. So I actually called him and I gave him a pep talk. And I talked about the importance of slowing down in the big moments. I talked about what it meant to go out there and play for the guy to the left of you and the guy to the right of you. The name on the front of the jersey. Your parents, your coaches. I talked about what it meant to respect the game and how fortunate they are to be in this position. And then basically said, look, dudes, go out there, lay it all on the line, give it everything you have, play free, play fearless. And they went out and it was kind of like you could hear this collective like from the kids. And then they went out and got absolutely fucking destroyed. The pep talk didn't work at all. That's okay though, because I told them that if they had won the game, I was going to throw a barbecue for them at my house. I said, fuck it, and ended up having them over to the house anyway. And that's where I ran into an 11-year-old, Cody Bellinger. And Cody was like hanging with me by the barbecue. We're flipping burgers. And he goes, hey, Byrnsie, you look a lot bigger on TV. And it really was at that point that I knew he was going to be a big leader. Because what he was doing was sizing me up. That is the attitude that you have to have, because when you watch these guys are playing in the big leagues, you have to have the mentality, well, I mean, I could be that big. I might even be bigger, whatever it is. Awesome to see Cody Bellinger, by the way, absolutely killing it this year for the Cubs. I had cut some video of him yesterday, actually. That was funny. They have a thing right now on Twitter all about Cody Bellinger and him and the West. And I got to rehash some because this is the perfect time to do it. It's a great story. It's to see that kid. And here's the picture of him. That's the kid that was sizing me up at my house. So anyhow, Little League World Series in full effect. We have the West is going against, I don't know, it's Southeast, I don't know. But we got those games going on tonight. Dallas Keuchel, by the way. Incredible performance yesterday. This is a guy that was an all-star in Houston. He basically made some rounds, was out of the game, and signed back on. He was with the White Sox for a little bit, but he was never a hard thrower. And so I don't think the automated strike zones helped him, because he used to be the guy that would get several inches off the plate, as he did on a few calls last night. But the guy had a perfect game through like 6 2/3 yesterday. It's just something that I want to mention. I mean, motivating to see someone like that who would never quit. And Kelly Nash is his wife. Kelly, I worked a long time with at MLB Network. So I've taken special, I don't know Dallas really for anything, but I've taken special rooting interest for him just because I like Kelly. And anyhow, 17-year-old Ethan Salas is promoted to Double-A. Ethan Salas won't turn 18 years old until June 2024. Think about that. He was in spring training this year as a 16-year-old. He won't turn 18 till fucking June. But the Padres' top prospect continues to rise up the minor leagues. Salas, MLB's number 5 prospect, has been promoted to Double-A San Antonio. According to multiple reports, the 17-year-old catcher was not in the lineup Sunday for High Fort Wayne. He's played just 9 games with the Tin Caps, hitting 201 double and no home runs. He was promoted to High A on August 8th after starting the season with Single A, Lake Elsinore. At Single A, Lake Elsinore, Salas hit 267, 9 home runs, 837 OPS, which is good. I mean, for a 17-year-old, it's fantastic. But, I mean, Lake Elsinore, that's a good place to hit. You should have good offensive numbers there. At 17, Salas would instantly become the youngest player in Double-A where the average age is 24. Michael DeLeon, who played for AA Frisco in the Rangers organization aged 17 in 2014, is believed to be the last 17-year-old to reach that level. Salas signed a $5.6 million deal with the Padres in January when the international signing window opened. So left-handed batter, throws right, received plus grades for his hitting and fielding his arm behind the plate, with each attributed receiving 60 on the 20-80 scale. So it's going to be fun to watch him. Dylan Cruz, and this is another one, apparently is going to skip A-ball and go straight for AA. Teams are getting smart. That's it. They're figuring it out. Because if you sign a guy like Dylan Cruz and you're paying millions and millions of dollars, the guy just played top-end Division I baseball. And it's not the same as the minor leagues. It's not the same as the big leagues. But it's pretty damn close. On any given night, you could be facing a guy like fucking Paul Skeens, who throws 100 miles per hour. It's not like he's going to see stuff he hasn't seen before. So it says here the number 2 overall draft pick in 2023 has been promoted to AA Harrisburg. The 21-year-old will be bypassing the high A level entirely. Given how he's done in the minor league so far, it's easy to see why. After going 3 for 3 in his lone game in the rookie-level Florida Complex League, Cruz hit a scorching .355 through 14 single-A contests. His stat line includes 5 home runs, 3 doubles, 24 RBIs, 16 runs, and 1,068 OPS. He killed it. Wow. Hey, you earned it. Cruz promotion will put the Nationals' top 3 prospects all on the same level. Number 2 prospect James Wood is MLB number 7 prospect. The number 3 Brady House is number 43. They're already with the Senators. Dude, Washington's going to be good. They won that Little League game last night. They just have a lot of good young players. They have a bunch of fucking dudes you've never heard of. Look out in the next couple of years because that team's stacked with talent. Let's see what else we got here. We got the power rankings. We got scores. Let's go to the scores. We'll hit the power rankings and then get on out of here. It's been like a 2-hour adventure. I mean, basically, I started at 8:30 trying to figure out this system. But really cool shit. And kudos to all the great tech people we have at No Filter Network. The banner looked awesome. And I know there's some other features that continue to make this the #1 interactive live stream platform. Yesterday's scores around Major League Baseball was 7-6. Mariners over the Astros. And I did a video of Julio Rodriguez yesterday of all 17 hits. If you haven't seen it, go to my Instagram page and check it out, or it's on No Filters as well. It's impressive. The guy just uses the entire field. He uses the entire bat. And I say that in the sense where, dude, if you're using the entire bat, and by the way, you know what? Let's pull this bat up. This was a brand new, this is a Rawlings, just sent to us, courtesy of Jory. Wolf, Jory, we appreciate it. But the great people over at Rawlings, this is the mock AI. Pretty looking bat. It's a one piece, and apparently it's got some serious juice. But when it comes to Julio Rodriguez, he said he made a couple of adjustments in his stance and his swing and everything else, but they were really basic. He decided to widen out, which gives a more firm base, levels ahead, and then just shorten the stride. So instead of like a bigger leg kick with more movement, he widened out, he went here, boom, boom. And the guy's been on everything. And I don't care if it's, good hitters get jammed. If you look at a lot of the first hits that he had, there were shots the other way that just ball getting deep, boom, get on them, line drive over the second baseman's head. Not necessarily the highest exit velo, but ask Luis Ariz what matters there. I've always said good hitters get jammed, and Julio Rodriguez has figured that out. And then you just wait for the mistake. And sure enough, when he got to Houston, he's got the short porch and left. there was a fastball way at like 93, and so reach out and pull it, and it was a base hit. And then the next one was a fastball over the plate, and he hit it on the fucking train tracks. So he had a plan and a vision. This is one of the top young players in the game. I've never in my life seen anybody as hot as that. It hasn't happened. 17 hits in 4 games. It was 4-5, 4-4. Crazy. Mariners are hot as can be. 69 and 55 now. Dude, they're 1 game back. Holy shit, they're half game back the Astros. This is insane. Giants 4-3 over the Braves. Huge win for the Gigantes. The Yankees got swept by the Boston Red Sox. That's a sinking ship. They're just done. I mean, wow. Boston's hanging on for dear life. I think they're 3 back in the wild card. Detroit 4-1 over the Guardians. Blue Jays 10-3 over the Reds. The Reds have really started to fade. 64 and 61. So, I mean, they're still above 500, but it's they're going to have to get their shit together. I don't think they're deep enough to make a run in the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs. I don't see a deep run coming where pitching would be dominant. Twins 2-0 over the Pirates, and talked about the Dallas Keuchel game, which was just fucking awesome. Good on Dallas. Mets go down to the Cardinals at 7-3, and a couple of teams have been really disappointing this season. The Cubs 4-3 over the Royals. It's a big win there. They lost the first game of that series. It's just one you don't want to drop, but for a team that's in playoff contention, no one really expected it to be. Cody Bellinger has been lights out, so good for him. Brewers 6-2 over the Rangers. Max Scherzer actually, I believe, got the loss in that one. He's 12-5. 3.77 ERA. They had the Powder Blues on yesterday. They might be my favorite unis in baseball. White Sox 10-5 over the Rockies. The O's completed the sweep of the Oakland A's. 12-1. I mean, geez. You know what's funny is that when I was with the O's in 2005, we went in there for a 4-game set against the A's, and we swept them. Now, I went 0 for Oakland, so I can't take any credit for that sweep. But it was badass, man. It was pretty cool. So the O's, they're 77 and 47. Holy shit. 77 and 47. 30 games above 500. The A's are 34 and 90. Historically awful. Nationals 4-3 over the Phillies. So let's take a look at the standings. Let's just go right to the wild card here. The leaders in the East is Baltimore. In the West, it's Texas. In the Central, it's Minnesota. The wild card teams right now, as it would stand: Tampa, Houston, and Seattle. Toronto's on the outside looking in. They're a half game back. In Boston, 7-3 in their last 10. They're 3 games back. Then in the National League, it's Atlanta. They're 80 and 43. Best record in baseball. 8-2 in their last 10. On top of the East, the Dodgers are on top of the West, 76 and 47. In Milwaukee, they've been playing better baseball. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. They are on top of the Central. The Phillies would be the first wild card team, 67 and 57. The Giants are 65 and 59. They would be the second wild card team. And then the Cubs are 64 and 59. And they would be the third wild card team. But right behind them, you have Arizona and Cincinnati, both at 64 and 61, and Miami. The National League wild card just looks like this thing's going to come down the wire. San Diego, 59 and 66, are 6 games back. But not only are they 6 games back, they got to leap 1, 2, 3. They're going to have to leap 4 teams to get into the playoffs. Look, it's a good team. It's not a good team. It's a shit team. It's a talented team. But talent does not always win. Power rankings, just for fun, because they came out. Red hot run, surprising stumbles, shake things up. The biggest jump here, it says, here's a look at where each team stands. The biggest jump, the Mariners, like their superstar center fielder Julio Rodriguez, are surging. Seattle jumps 3 spots in the rankings this week from number 9 to number 6. with their 7-6 win over the Astros to sweep Houston over the weekend. The M's have won 6 straight, 14 of the last 17 to vault them into the AL wildcard spot. The hot streak also has Seattle just 3 games back in the AL West. Biggest drop, the Yankees. Free fall continues after another difficult week for the Bronx. The Bombers that resulted in a drop from number 15 to number 20 in our rankings. They're lucky to be that high. New York was swept by Boston over the weekend. All right, here's the power rankings. The top 5. The Braves sit there at number 1. The Dodgers at number 2. The Orioles at number 3. I think all 3 of those are interchangeable. It'd be tough to say one team's really better than the other. I guess maybe the Braves, Amo. I'll give it to you. But the fucking Dodgers and Orioles. The Dodgers won 11 in a row before dropping one the other night. The Rays are at number 4. I'm still just not totally sold on them. They lost Shane McClanahan for the season. I mean, dude, that guy's a game changer. And so he's gone. The Rangers are at 5. They got some holes. And then 6 is the Mariners, 7 Astros, 8 Blue Jays, 9 Phillies, 10 Brewers, 11 Cubs, 12 Giants, 13 Twins, 14 Red Sox, 15 Reds. Marlins at 16, D-backs at 17. It's kind of low. Padres at 18, Angels at 19, Yankees at 20, Mets at 21, Guardians at 22, Tigers at 23, Nationals at 24. I put the Nationals higher. Pirates at 25, Cardinals at 26, White Sox at 27, Rockies at 28, Royals at 29, and your Oakland Athletics sitting there at 30. Weather report right now, currently 65 degrees. It looks like the showers have finally stopped, and I think that bitch Hilary is gone. Around the United States, Boise, Idaho. RJ, I think this was for you, man. 73 degrees, high of 84, low of 64. And you guys got the rain and the flood watch. So I think Hilary's gone your way. South Haven, Mississippi. 79 degrees, high of 80, low of 66. Orchard Park, New York. The Buseys, Pat O'Connell. Upstate New York, 74 degrees, high of 76. It's gorgeous there this time of year. Germantown, Jesse Byrnes, my brother from another mother, 77 degrees, high of 80, low of 61, excessive heat watch. When? Oh, that's funny. I mean, it's going to heat up to 82. No, Wednesday it gets to 97. Fuck. How about that? They do have a heat wave coming their way. Montgomery, Alabama, home of the Biscuits. 93 degrees, high 96, low of 75 and sunny. Duncan Dad, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 87 degrees, high of 89, low of 66, cloudy. John Emmanuel Ramos, Henderson, Makati City, 80 degrees and raining. Out there in Makati City, it's about midnight. Stephen Luker, Hemet, California, 68 degrees, high of 79, low of 61. How about Buckwheat and Bakersfield, 79 degrees, high of 85, and low of 67. Fresno, they're still dealing with some remnants of the hurricane, but it looks like they're getting out of it too. We got some sunnier days ahead after them getting pounded with rain the past couple. High of 88 degrees today. Savannah, Georgia, land of the Platanos, it's 91 degrees currently right now, high of 92. Low is 77 with abundant sunshine. Las Vegas, Nevada, Michael, 75 degrees, high of 84, low of 70. San Mateo, Gary Tagliafico, where the fuck have you been? 76 degrees, high of 77, low of 62. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Amo, 91 degrees, high 93, low of 71. Duluth, Minnesota, good morning to you, Gene. 69 degrees, high of 70, low of 62. Auburn, is Duluth going to get that? They got to get that heat too coming, right? A little bit. Auburn, California, 72 degrees, high of 82. And yeah, it's still raining there currently right now for the Montgomerys, Pontarollas, Griffins, Riegers. Phoenix, Arizona. Holy shit, Kowalski. You guys got some drizzle. 82 degrees, high at 91. Michelle Drew, good morning to you. It's been a while. And how about Chief Waters in New York, 88 degrees, high at 90, low at 71, and Giuseppe Pepe Manuele, 69 degrees in Half Moon Bay, California, high of 70. Isn't that a little warm for you guys out there? Oh, and then here in Truckee, 53 degrees. Why does mine say 65? I guess it would be a high 65. Okay. I knew there's a reason I put a sweatshirt on this morning. Just chances of rain. I think we're just kind of getting the back end of the hurricane right now. The heavy stuff came in last night. It was fucking dumping. And this morning as well. So we're going to see a high of 61 today. Tomorrow, a high of 64. Wednesday, a high of 73. Thursday is 73. Friday is 72. Then it's 74, 76, 78, 79, 76. We're getting to the most beautiful time of year here in Tahoe. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. Definitely going to go spend some time out on the lake here. I think depending on whether or not I do the daily hustle, but Tuesdays, maybe I'll do a daily hustle from the paddleboard. That'd be a good one. All right. Of all the shows, that was definitely a long one. I will finish this thing off with a chapter out of the Daily Hustle 222 Unfiltered Life Guidance from a human crash test dummy. If you have not picked up a copy of this, go to ericbyrnes.com to get yourself a copy along with a foot reflexology board. I think we got some combo packages in there. And if you're so inclined, pick up the Effortless Life Lessons from a Human Crash Test Dummy as well. And once again, back to our great title sponsors. Verge. If you have trouble concentrating and looking for some quick shots of life and beautiful greatness, go to Verge. Try Verge.com and pick yourself up some goodies. And then, I don't know if your kid's into baseball. I haven't tried it out yet because I haven't unwrapped it. But here's the first look at the Rawlings Mach AI. This is a 31 drop 5. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Day 82 is the title. No, the title is Dead or Alive. It is day 82 of the Daily Hustle 222. When we were on our trek across the country last summer, I ripped through dozens of audiobooks. One of which is possibly the most truthful yet disturbing books I've ever read or listened to. Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. That really was. It's a fucked up book. It's a bestseller though, man. People love it. Upon completion, I sent a message to author Ryan Holiday, who I know has worked closely with Robert Greene for years. I was very honest with Ryan and explained my feelings about how I felt. The book seemed to be a historical blueprint on how to be a manipulating, deceitful piece of shit. Ryan responded by saying that Robert was a sweetheart of a man, and the book was simply a look into the psychology tactics of some of the most influential and famous people who have ever lived. Fair point. Interesting. Regardless of what the eternal message of the book was supposed to be, I was highly entertained. And because of Ryan's Robert Greene endorsement, I definitely reserved any sort of judgment on Greene's character. Then the other day, I read one of Ryan's blog posts that championed several of the lessons that he had learned from Robert over the years. One of the main lessons was the title of Ryan's post, Alive Time versus Dead Time. He told me there were two types of time, alive time and dead time. One is when you sit around, when you wait until things happen to you. The other is when you are in control, when you make every second count, when you are learning and improving and growing. Damn, I like that. Never mind, I fucking love it. Ryan then quoted Robert Greene, who was expanding on his alive time versus dead time theory. Quote, the worst thing in life you can have is a job that you hate, that you have no energy in, that you're not creative with, and you're not thinking about of the future. And you're not thinking of the future. To me, you might as well be dead. That's truth. Wow. Truth speaks, doesn't it? Good old Robert and I are dialed in here. if I am writing this and you are reading this now, we're obviously alive. But how many of us are truly living? The great thing is that each moment we have on earth is an opportunity to learn, grow, and push perceived physical and psychological limits. Each moment we have is a chance to bring dead time to life. Ultimately, how we spend our time, alive or dead, is a choice. Not sure about you, but so long as I am here, I prefer to fucking live. Daily Hustle 222 Unfiltered Life Guidance from a Human Crash Test Dummy. Of all the shows, that certainly was one of them. Everyone have a fantastic day. We'll be back for Wednesday's Daily Hustle. Going to get on a consistent routine of trying to be on time. 8:30 a.m. Deuces Wild tomorrow night. Pay attention for any potential Daily Hustle that could happen between now and then. And I'd like to thank our great partners at Caffeine TV and soon to be Bleed Podcast Network. Continue to grow the show. Take a look at the chat before we get out of here. And yes, Leslie, I am using the app. I do like how you say I'm looking good. I appreciate that. Just trying to keep up with you, Les. That's it. Love you guys. See ya.